Welcome to the first MySQL webinar from javapassion.com. And if you have an access to javapassion.com, you will see the topics that we are going to cover in this webinar series. So today we are going to cover some basics of MySQL, and next week we are going to continue some MySQL basics, and from third week, we're going to cover joins, subqueries, views, and PHP, MyAdmin, transactions, stored procedures, performance, data modeling. So it's going to be about 15-week webinar series. All right, so let's get started with the presentation. For those of you who have an access to javapassion.com, feel free to download Hands-on Lab, and you can try the demos that I'm showing to you along with me. Okay, MySQL Basics 1. By the way, I'm going to take the questions at the end of the presentation. Feel free to post those questions to the question box. Or you can actually post the questions to our class alias as well. So if you happen to have any questions after today's presentation, feel free to post on class alias, and then I'll answer those questions. You don't have to be a paying member to join and post questions on the class alias. Okay, so for today's presentation, these are the topics that we are going to cover. Mainly we are going to actually get started with the MySQL. Okay, so let's start with what MySQL is first. So it's one of the most popular open source database, and it provides high performance and high reliability and easy to use. And in fact, MySQL is being used in production environment in the world's most demanding websites such as Yahoo, Google, YouTube. And for LAMP stack, the M stands for MySQL. And MySQL is supported on all OS platforms. So MySQL product, if you go to MySQL website, you will see in fact the several MySQL products. So the one that we're going to use the most is MySQL Community Server, and it's free. And for commercial version, you have MySQL Enterprise, and it does provide some enterprise features, for example, monitoring. And MySQL Cluster is for providing fault tolerance, and MySQL Embedded Database is designed for being embedded in small devices, and MySQL Workbench is a GUI tool, which we are going to play around later on in this course. Let's start with the installation of MySQL Server. So MySQL, once you installed, what we are going to have is what is called the MySQL D. It is in fact the database server. So all you have to do is to start MySQL database server is running MySQL D. For Windows, you can actually install and start your MySQL database server as a Windows service. And other platforms could be installed and run as part of the LAMP stack, or it could be obviously run as independent application. Alright, so let's start with the first exercise, which is installation. So let's go to the lab documentation. So exercise 1 is installation of MySQL database package. So you go to MySQL, the download website. If you just click this one, you are going to see your platform-specific download. This is actually installer application that could be run. However, we're going to actually download the zip file. So here, I'm going to go to MySQL Community Server and click download. And again, here you have an option of downloading Windows executable installer or a zip file. So here we're going to just download the zip file. So if you just click one of these two, one is 32-bit, the other one is 64-bit. You download it and you basically unzip it. Okay? So once you unzip it, it contains a bin directory. And let's go to the lab documentation. So we just download it and download the zip file, and then you are going to unzip the zip file in a location of your choice. So I'm going to actually unzip this zip file that I just downloaded on the Java tools, and then it will create a directory called, in this case, MySQL 5.5.28 Win64. And as you can see, it has a bin directory. Okay. Alright, so in order to start your MySQL database server from this zip file, which has been unzipped, basically you go to the bin directory, and then you're going to just type MySQL D. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I go to this bin directory. Again, if you see, it has a bunch of the files, including executable of MySQL D. So I'm going to actually run MySQL D here. And basically, by typing MySQL D, I'm starting MySQL database server. Simple as that. So I'm going to start MySQL D, and it is being started. Okay, so at this point, MySQL database server is up and running. Very simple. Again, in Windows, you could have installed it as a Windows service, and the Windows service could be actually run after you actually just kind of logged in. Okay, but in this case, I'm just kind of using zip file under which it has a bin directory, and then I'm just running MySQL D manually like this. Okay. Okay, so that's basically what I do. In order to shut down MySQL D, you can just use MySQL admin command. So I'm going to actually try that as well. Okay. So here, I'm going to type this one, and you can see it is actually stopped, shut down. Okay, so I'm going to just start it again, and I'm going to close this one. Okay, and let's move on. So very simple. Just download the zip file or installer, and for installer it says executable installer, so you can just kind of double click it to install and just follow the procedure. Or simpler way of actually is simpler way of installing is download the zip file, unzip it, and just run MySQL D. Okay. All right. Next is MySQL command line client. So you can actually run MySQL command using MySQL command line client. So that's what you're going to learn. Okay, so what is MySQL command line client? It comes with a MySQL package. So if you go to bin directory, you're going to see MySQL.exe or .sh file. It is used to connect the running database server when you run MySQL. And you can run MySQL either in interactive mode or non-interactive mode. You're going to play around mostly in interactive mode. And when you're running in interactive mode, you can just type SQL command, and SQL command will be performed against the database server that is up and running. And in fact, you can type MySQL --help to see a lot of other options. Alright, so let's move on to exercise 2, which is playing around the MySQL command line client. Okay, so basically, you go to the same directory, and then you're going to type MySQL help, --help. It will give you a lot of options. Okay? So let me just start with the terminal window. So let me just go this one here. And I'm going to go to the bin directory, MySQL. Alright, so this is the directory I have all the MySQL executable file, including MySQL, the client. This is the one. Okay, client, the MySQL client. So I'm going to just type MySQL --help to see what kind of options I can play around. Okay, mostly you're going to just type MySQL like this, and then you're going to actually have a shell. Okay, so at this point you can also type help to see what kind of help actions you can perform. And so we're going to actually play around a few exercises on this. We did help, and we can find out the version, of course. Okay. Oh, now I want to actually connect the server. So the command that you're going to use MySQL -u. The -u is a user ID and password. So as a default, password is null. Okay, so let's try. Okay, and then we'll say MySQL -u root and -p, and there is no password. I just press enter. Okay. All right, so that's what I see. Okay. By the way, if you see this message, like I can't connect to MySQL server, that means that MySQL database server is not up and running, meaning you don't have MySQL D is running. Okay? Alright, so next what we're going to do is we're going to actually see databases. So we're going to try, I'm going to just have this one on the left, and I'm going to this way, and I have this one on the right. Okay, so I can see what kind of databases we have. So we're going to use show databases. By the way, every single command that we're going to run in MySQL shell has to be ended with semicolon like this. Semicolon like this. So for now I have 4 databases: information schema database, MySQL database, performance database, and test. Okay? And you can use use command. Use means this is the database that I'm going to use for all MySQL commands at this point. So here, if I want to use a MySQL database, SQL database, and it says database change, meaning the default database I'm using at this point has been changed to MySQL. And you can see all the tables that is actually maintained inside this MySQL database by typing show tables. And you'll see a lot of system level tables. Okay, all right. Okay, so this is what we just did. Again, you can get the help. All right, so let's move on. Pretty straightforward, right? Okay. All right, let's learn some of the SQL syntax, concept and terminology, and some syntax. So what is SQL? SQL is a language for retrieving and manipulating data in a relational database such as MySQL, and it contains commands for data definition, data manipulation, data control, and we're going to see examples of this in the following slide. And of course, this is the NC standard. So SQL terminology: table is a set of rows, and you can think of it as a file. And a row is a record in a file, if you consider a table as a file. And column is a field of a record. And each column is, in a given row, has a single value, including null value is possible, depending on whether that field can be null or not. And then there is a primary key column, which is used as an identity for that particular row in that table. Pretty basic concept. In terms of types of SQL statements, so data definition language, data manipulation language, and data control language. So data definition language is used for creating table, alter table, drop table, and create view. And data manipulation language is for inserting, updating, and deleting. And data control language is for grant and evoke. It's actually used for controlling access rights. So one of the things we are going to cover later on in this course is security, mainly for access control. Okay, moving forward, some SQL basics. So databases. So you can create a brand new database by typing create database MySQL. These commands are case insensitive. So you can have this one lowercase, create database, and MyDB is basically creating a database called MyDB. And then you can specify what is a default database that you want to use. Again, you have seen example already by example of this use MyDB, meaning I'm using MyDB database as a default database for my SQL operation. Drop database is used for dropping database, meaning removing or deleting database. It's the same thing. So drop database and the name of the database that you want to remove. You can use if exists, the statement here. So you can say drop database if exists temp db. So that one is fine. Okay, tables. So this is a way that you are going to create a table. So you say create table and then give a name of the table, and then you're going to specify the columns. So here person ID, and then the characteristic of that column, and here first name column and last name column, and then you can specify which field of this is used as a primary key field. So you can say primary key and the name of the field, person ID, right here. Okay, and here you can also specify engine, what database engine that you want to use. So MySQL supports several database engine, and one of the database engine it support is InnoDB. And then you can specify, you can say show tables to find out all the tables in the database. So here, since we just created the person table, you should see person table right here in database of MyDB. Okay, so now this is altering table name. So you can say alter command, alter table. These are keywords, these two, and then give a name of the table, and then you want to give the new name by using rename to. Okay, so you can use either alter command or rename command. Okay, so alter you're going to use to, and same thing here. So you say here rename table and the name of the table that you want to alter to, and the new name like this. Okay, so here the new table is called person 1. Here we change to whatever. So if you say show tables, you're going to see whatever as a table name. Relatively straightforward. So here you are going to change a name of a field and change the type of that column or field. So you say alter table, so meaning I'm changing person table's last name column to surname, and the type is going to be var character 30. So once you do, by the way, describe person is basically describing that table. So it will give you the output like this, all the column names and all the column names and its type. Okay, so since we changed the last name to surname, this is what we are going to see, and this is a type. Okay, so relatively straightforward. Adding or removing field. So here you are going to use add command. So alter table person, and then you are adding new field called age, and the type of that age field is small int of size of 3, unsigned, and cannot be null. Okay, so once you say describe person table, now you are going to see age column, what field is added. This is the way that you can remove a column or field. So you say alter table, name of the table, then you say drop and the name of the table. I'm sorry, name of the column or field. Dropping table is using drop command. So you say drop table. So here we have a table called temp table, and then we say drop table and temp table, and also we can use the drop table if it exists. Okay. So again, if you in this case show tables, then you're not going to see anything because temp table has been dropped. Okay, working with tables from multiple databases. So you can specify name of the database in this notation. So here I'm performing select query operation from temp table of this temp database. Okay, so if you don't specify this database name, then it's going to use the default database that you set with the use and name of the database. Okay, but you can specify the name of the database before the table to specify that you are performing this SQL command on this particular database's student table in this case. Okay, so fields. So we have seen some examples of the fields already. So field contains field name and data type, and then field modifier or constraint. So these are examples of the integer data type. It could be tiny int, which is 1 byte, small int is 2 bytes, midi int is 3 bytes, and int itself is 4 bytes, and big int is 8 bytes. And float is a single precision, and double is a double precision, and decimal is decimal values, and this is a bit. And continuation of field data type, it could be character or var character. Var character is a variable length. And then there are date, time, and year, and also date, time, and timestamp, and enum and set. So these are all possible field data types. Modifiers. You can set your field to be either not null or null. Okay, so if you set it not null, then it cannot be null. So if you have that field as null, then it's one of the exception that you will experience. The default, you can set the default value. So if no value is specified, then default value will be used. Auto increment, MySQL auto increment, in this case, if you set your field to be auto increment, then MySQL automatically generates a number by incrementing the previous value by 1. And this is typically used for creating